Today we'll read from page 141, which is A Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment by Lama Atisha Devagara 141. Tibetan, we call him Choje Pande Adisha. 141. 131, sorry. 131. Page 131, A Lamp for the Path of Enlightenment. Okay. To give you a quick overview of what this text is all about, just for information, that the Lama Disha, so then Bodh Gaya, mean the temple, there, when Lama Adisha was the circumambulating, and then he met with Aritara, the female Buddha, Aritara, and that's something which you would be happy to know, and these are things which otherwise you would not know. In the monastic universities, big monastic universities, there, the tradition is that the monks, okay, this young monk should have seen it, that before the evening debates, and it must be the same with the other monastic universities, in our monastic university, Tibet Monastic University, and also in IBD, Institute of Buddhist Studies in Dharamsala, before the debate, in IBD it's shorter, but in the monastic university, Tibet Monastic University, before the debate, before debate we spent about like a minimum 2 hours reciting the praise of Aritara. 2 hours, just imagine. And all the monks there, monk students. And this has been for the last some years, like since 14th century, about 700 years, it had been like the tradition. And then all these big, the legendary debaters, the philosophers, psychologists, and the practitioners, and eventually who rose to the level of the abbotship. For them, when they become very old, and say the last days of their life, you will see them all reciting the Aritara's praises. So all these big debaters, monastic universities, they're big debaters of the monastic universities. The connection with Aritara is something so unique. And my teacher, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, and most of you will eventually come to learn about him because, of course, connected with me, and that I made the request to him to give teachings before the COVID, and he accepted. And then somehow there was a lot of obstacles there, and finally last year he gave this teaching. But although I requested it for the NMC, the participants, but finally he said that, okay, I'll just give the transmission to you, and then you do whatever you like. So he gave that teaching to the public, not only for me, but then I was just expecting that I translate for him, and then all the participants of NMC 1 can attend to his teaching directly. But it didn't happen. And then he said that you can then teach others. So his personality is my teachers. I have several teachers, and he is one of the main or the principal teachers. And usually he's not keen on the decorating the altar. So no, just deeply into his own practice, samadhi, meditation practice, and a brilliant logician, philosopher. And His Holiness, when His Holiness started the first Science Buddhist Philosophy Conference, known as the Mind Life Conference. Initially, it started as a conference, Mind Life Conference, with the one brilliant neuroscientist and also a biologist, I think, the Professor Francisco Varela, very young and brilliant. And His Holiness as the main, and with him from the science. And then there's one gentleman by the name Adam Engel. And two of them started this Mind Life Conference, where the neuroscientists and the Buddhist philosophers, psychologists meet and discuss about the human knowledge. I think it started in 1987, and His Holiness invited from the Buddhist side. His Holiness invited my teacher, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, and also another of my teacher, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul. Geshe Dorji Damdul, now he is teaching in America, and he today is like 96 and 97 years old, and still mind is extremely fresh. The Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, he must be now 91, 92, and still mentally so fresh. And particularly I spent many years, my forming years, with Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, and he was not really keen on these things, like putting the tangas, altars, not at all. He's purely into say the shaping your mind directly with the wisdom of emptiness, study, reflection, meditation, and he also encourages his students to do that. One day, one of my classmates was going to Nepal for a short break, and my teacher, of course, my classmate was also my teacher's student, and my teacher asked him for a Aryatara statue, to bring one small Aryatara statue. I was quite fascinated. This is not my style, teacher, but he was so connected with Aryatara, the female Buddha. So this is, then later on I came to learn that one of the abbots, who was extreme, like the giant, like Mount Meru of the monastery, my monastery, Devonasan monastery, and he, when he is seen circumambulating around the monastery, the main prayer hall, other very senior monks who are in their age, 60s, 70s, they become the small children, They simply go to, just sit on the side, wait for him to pass by. Everybody accorded such respect to him. Of course, he passed away. Extremely brilliant, the meditator, philosopher, psychologist. This is the multi-skilled masters. And I learned that he was in his last days. He was just lost in reciting Aryatara prayers, not doing anything else, just reciting, just feeling connected. So this was what Lama Adisha, Chojapande Adisha, he also was doing the same thing. He was incredibly the brilliant master in India, and the other Indian scholars, they did not really want him to go elsewhere because he's such a top-ranking scholar, practitioner here in India. And but the Tibetans, they came to invite him to Tibet. And how the Tibetans, they came, I would say that today I don't know, but in the olden times, the Tibetans, the dedication is so pure, and they would dare to do anything and risking their own lives, coming all the way from Tibet to India without any aeroplane, without any cars, without any trains, without any nothing, and all these roads were totally non-existent, and they're risking their lives, say in the very scary, dangerous forests, and then the very forceful rivers without the bridges, and then the snow mountains to cross, and still the burglars waiting there, all waiting there on the road, gangsters waiting there to rob you, kill you. They risked their lives and they came down. And this Lama Disha knew. And then he, as I said earlier, he was accumulating around the stupa, the main temple. This morning we went there, and he could hear a girl's anklets So in those, I don't know, today the girls, they don't wear the anklets. You don't?
Not much.
Why not? Okay, so what I'm saying is that in those days, the anklets, they were like ornaments of the girls, and he could hear the sound of the anklets. And he did not look at, and from behind, the lady said, Atisha, you don't want to even look at your mother. And he was so fascinated. Who could that be? He turned behind and he saw Aratara there. Then he made the request to Aratara, or sought her advice whether or not he should go to Tibet. And then Aratara made the prophecy that if you go to Tibet, yes, no doubt there will be tremendous, a great benefit for the proliferation of the Buddha Dhamma there, establishing Buddha Dhamma well there. And on top of that, you're going to meet one of your students who had been your student for so many lifetimes. You're going to meet that student also, Upasaka. Upasaka means a lay practitioner, lay male practitioner. And the lay female practitioners are the Upasika, which means for them you have to take a lay vow. You have to take a lay vow. And then you're going to meet him also. But if you go to Tibet, of course, your life will be shortened by 10 years. Because Tibet is a very harsh weather and very cold and high altitude. And then Aratara, the post one, like the prayer, in order to remove the obstacles to his life. And then he left to Tibet. And there, he already started to give teachings, but already like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, still no one who Aratara made the prophecy would come, that he would going to meet his student from many lifetimes. And then he was confused. Aratara is a Buddha. She can't be confused. So she made this prophecy, and I'm not meeting anybody who I can see as somebody as my student from many lifetimes. Then finally, Damdul Gyaltsab came to the scene. When he was actually there, Damdul Gyaltsab was coming all the way from the eastern Tibet, walking, because in those days no transportation facilities. He was just coming all the way. He was actually on the move to meet his teacher. And finally they met. And then it so happened that the two of them never separated. And Damdul Gyaltsab, he would make it a point that every night before he goes to sleep, he would always keep Kamala. He would always keep one light burning next to his head, indicating the symbol of his teacher. And so this is how this Damdul Gyaltsab finally met. And two of them, of course, the dynamics between the two of them, we can see that this is both are highly evolved beings, and they're very interesting anecdotes. Okay, so in between, if I get time, I'll be happy to share with you. Then finally, actually the deal was that the Lama all the students in the monastery, all the students meaning all the monks, they should have a mentor. They should have a mentor, like what this young monk everyone should have a mentor. And even Lama Adisha, the top ranking scholar, even he had a mentor. And he had to seek permission from his mentor. And the mentor, he knew that the mentor will decline his request. He knew that. So this made some plans, and finally they succeeded their plan, and the mentor finally agreed that the Tibetans who came to invite Lama Adisha, they also started to receive teachings from the mentor. And they requested the mentor that they were allowed to invite Adisha, Lama Adisha to Tibet. Then the mentor said, I now come to know that your agenda of coming to receive teachings from me. Yeah, and then because that this has already we built a relationship as teacher-student, so therefore I will not be too strict. So we'll have a deal. The deal is that you can keep Lama Adisha in Tibet for 3 years. After 3 years, no excuse, he must come back. This was the deal. Then 3 years, Lama Adisha time passed, like COVID, 2020, 2021, now 2022, and 3 years just flies. And it was time for Lama Adisha to come back. Then those Tibetans who were not there as the inviting entourage, or inviting group, who were not a part of the invited group, they would say that no, Lama Adisha should not return to Tibet. They must, he must stay back. And those in the entourage, they are breaching at the commitment which they gave to their own teacher, Lama Adisha's teacher. They teach as well. And they said, no, Lama Adisha, no. Somehow we have to go to India, right? And then finally, when they were heading towards Nepal, on the Nepal border, there was a war happening, going there. And then the other Tibetan groups, they would say that, no, Lama Choja Banda Adisha, you should not go, Choja, you should not go. And those who made the promise to Choja's teacher, they said, no, somehow we have to go. Okay, there was this confusion happening. And finally, Lama Adisha composed this text, which we're going to read now. He composed this text and then told his students, all the students, not to worry. I say there's always exception. And when there's a situation which cannot be avoided, under unavoidable situations, there's always exception, you don't worry. Then he immediately composed this text. And then through somebody, sent this text to India and to his teacher and all the other scholars. And then all the scholars in India reading this text, they were extremely grateful to the Tibetans, because they said that if Lama Adisha was not in Tibet, and if he's not in a situation like this today, he will never compose this text. And this text is something so unique. Such a text is what you don't find in India. Because all the Indian texts, what are Nagarjuna composed, what Bodhicitta Shantideva composed, and what the NMC participants will learn, Acharya Chandra this text, they're extremely technical, and you don't see that there is a very systematic way by which you can practice. You just read through and you just get it. No, they're all scattered. They're extremely philosophical, technical, and this is something very different, where you read it and you just flow, and the practice, everything comes along. It's like babysitting, or what do you call it, spoon feeding. This is so beautiful composed, and the masters, the Indian scholars there in India, then they were so amazed to see that this is a brilliant text. He will never write this if he did not go to Tibet. In India, he will never compose this text. So we're so grateful that we have this text, and now the teacher said, now he can stay in Tibet forever. So this permission was granted. So then Lama Adisha, of course, finally he passed away in Tibet. He did not return to India. So we're going to read this. And this text, how it is unique is that, so for the practice, it is like, so today in the modern education, we have say your kindergarten level, then you go to this, after kindergarten you go to the junior school, high school, college. So these levels are there. Then after college, you opt for PhD, postdocs. One person has to practice all these things as you keep maturing, as you keep developing in your practice, then you go for the more and more sophisticated practice. So this is how he designed this text on a basis of the practices that each one of us are to adopt. Say when our mind is very basic, a small scope, say the person, practitioner, And then once you become a little mature with this, then you move to what is known as the teachings meant for the middle scope person. Then once matured in that space, then you move to the teachings meant for the grade scope person. Then he also finally introduced a little bit about Tantra. So the teachings meant for the three scope, the people of the three different scopes, and added to this the most refined students or the practitioners, he added a little bit of Tantra. Okay, this is how it is extremely succinct and extremely systematic and very easy for us to follow through. Okay, let's read this. A Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment by Adishita Bangarashri Jnana. So that is 11th century AD. Homage to the Bodhisattva, youthful Manjushri. I pay homage with great respect to all the victorious ones of the three times, to their teaching and to those who aspire to virtue, urged by the noble disciple Chanchuvir. I shall illuminate the lamp for the path to enlightenment. Understand there are three kinds of persons. Because of their small, middling and supreme capacities, I shall write clearly distinguishing the individual characteristics. I know that those who, whatever means, seek for themselves no more than the pleasure of cycling existence are persons of the least capacity. Those who seek peace for themselves alone, turning away from unworldly pleasures and avoiding destructive actions, are said to be middling capacity. Those who, through their personal suffering, truly want to end completely all the sufferings of others, are persons of supreme capacity. For those excellent living beings who desire supreme enlightenment, I shall explain the perfect methods taught by the spiritual teachers. Facing paintings, statues, and so forth of the completely enlightened one, reliquaries, and excellent teaching, offer flowers, incense, whatever you have, with a seven-part offering, and from the prayer of the noble conduct, and with a thought never to turn back till you gain ultimate enlightenment. With strong faith in the three jewels, kneeling with one knee on the ground, and your hands pressed together, first of all seek refuge 3 times. Next, beginning with an attitude of love for all living creatures, consider beings, excluding none, suffering in the 3 bad rebirths, suffering such as birth, death, and so forth. Then, since you want to free these beings from the suffering of pain, from suffering and the cause of arouse immediate resolve to attain enlightenment. The qualities of developing such an aspiration are fully explained by Maitreya in the Array of Trunks Sutra. Having learned about the infinite benefits of the intention to gain full enlightenment, by reading the sutra or listening to a teacher, arouse it repeatedly to make it steadfast. The sutra requested by Viradatta fully explained the merit aside these 3 verses. If it possessed physical form, the merit of the altruism intention will completely fill the whole of space and exceed even that. If someone were to fill with jewels as many Buddha fills as there are grains of sand in the Ganges to offer to the protector of the world, this would be surpassed by the gift of folding one's hands and include one's mind enlightenment, for such is limitless. Having developed the aspiration for enlightenment, constantly enhance it through concerted effort to remember it in this and also in other lives, keep the precepts properly explained. Without the vow of the engaged intention, perfect aspiration will not grow. Make efforts definitely to take, since you want the wish for enlightenment to grow. Those who maintain any of the 7 kinds of individual liberation vows have the ideal prerequisite for the Bodhisattva vow, not others. That the Tathagata spoke of the 7 kinds of individual liberation vow. The best of these is a glorious pure conduct, said to be the vow of a fully ordained person. According to the ritual described in the chapter in discipline in the Bodhisattva stages, take the vow from a good and well-qualified spiritual teacher. Understand that a good spiritual teacher is one skilled in the vow ceremony, who lives by the vow and has the confidence and the compassion to bestow it. However, in case you try but cannot find such a spiritual teacher, I shall explain another correct procedure for taking the vow. I shall write here very clearly, as explained in the ornament of Manjushri's Buddha Sutra, how long ago when Manjushri was Ambaraja, he aroused the intention to become enlightened. In the presence of the protectors, I arouse the intention to gain full enlightenment. I invite all beings as my guests and shall free from this moment onwards until I shall not harbor harmful thoughts, anger, avarice, or envy. I shall cultivate pure conduct, give up wrongdoing and desire, and with joy in the vow of discipline, train myself to follow the Buddhas. I shall not be eager to reach enlightenment in the quickest way, but shall stay behind till the very end, for the sake of even a single being. I shall purify limitless, inconceivable lands. I remain in the 10 directions for all those who call my name. I shall purify all my bodily and verbal forms of activity, purify, and do nothing that is non-virtuous. When those observing the vow of the active altruistic intention have trained well in the 3 forms of discipline, their respect for these 3 forms of discipline grows, which causes purity of body, speech, and mind. Therefore, through effort in the vow made by the Bodhisattva for pure, full enlightenment, the collections for complete enlightenment will be thoroughly accomplished. All Buddhas say the cause for the completion of the collections, whose nature is merit and exalted wisdom, is the development of higher perceptions. Just as a bird with undeveloped wings cannot fly in the sky, those without the power of higher perception cannot work for the good of living beings. The merit gained in a single day by one who possesses higher perception cannot be gained even in 100 by one without such higher perceptions. Those who want to the collection of the full enlightenment will accomplish higher perceptions through effort, not through laziness. Without their karma abiding, higher perception will not occur. Therefore, make a repeated effort to accomplish karma abiding. While the conditions for karma abiding are merit stabilization will not be accomplished even if one meditates strenuously for thousands of years. Thus, maintaining well the conditions mentioned in the collection of the meditative stabilization chapter plays a key universal's focal object. When the practitioner has gained karma abiding, higher perception will also be gained. But without the practice of the perfection of wisdom, obstructions will not come to an end. Thus, to eliminate all obstructions to liberation and omniscience, the practitioner should continually cultivate the perfection of wisdom by skillful means. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue reading later. Okay. Yesterday we were talking about the 4 seals, and we did the the first seal, which is the all-encompassing is impermanent, and the one thing which is so unique of the teachings of the Buddha, and particularly talking about the transformation, is that of course that there are 2 things where the faith driving you towards the wisdom, and the wisdom driving you towards the faith. So of course it is always better that the wisdom driving towards faith is better, because your faith is going to be very stable. Otherwise, with the faith, then you go towards the wisdom. In the process, your faith can easily be shaken, even though it can be very intense, and it can badly be shaken. So always the wisdom must be there as a support for your faith. And of course the faith is so precious, but it can be very dangerous also if not accompanied by the wisdom. Say somebody having so much of faith in the Buddha, but without the wisdom. Just imagine if the person meets another teacher or another tradition, following another the system. I say, even within Buddhism, it's not only the non-Buddhists, even the Buddhism also, you see that people can become fanatic, fundamentalist. It happens. It's because of very strong faith and feeling that your tradition is the best. And anyone who is, in a way, like, say, the uninformed, unintelligible people, they are everywhere, in every community, in every tradition. And when they do something wrong, and then your faith is so strong, blindly driven, and it can destroy the other communities, other religions, and so forth. It's known as religious fanatics. fundamentalism. And so therefore, this can happen with the people who are driven by faith and then eventually supposed to be going towards the wisdom. So before reaching the wisdom, they can become very destructive. So we should be very careful. Say the Buddha made it very clear that under no circumstances, the evil actions are permitted. No evil action is permitted under any situation. Okay. So with this, the faith driven by wisdom, that is so important. That is so important. And with this, that of course we have these destructive emotions: attachment, anger, jealousy, and so these emotions are there. But where they say they reflect on these, like all composite things impermanent, all contaminated things are suffering nature, knowing them so well, and not just being able to emulate what your teacher said or what the book said, just recite it and then it has no effect on you. Instead, that all composite things are impermanent is very true. This conviction must come. All contaminated things are suffering nature. What is contaminated by your wrong thinking, where your wrong thinking, particularly the self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude, you will never be happy. With the best of the environment, with the best of the people around you, people who love you so much, who give you so much care, attention, clean air, environment beautiful, and the facilities, still you are very, very unhappy. So as long as these two contaminations are not, particularly the contamination in the form of self-grasping ignorance. So self-grasping ignorance is directly related to the attracting miseries. And this self-grasping ignorance must be supported by self-centered attitude to make the negative emotions more intense and more strong. But self-centered attitude, even when your miseries are brought to an end completely by attaining the level known as the arhatship, when somebody becomes arhat, still you have the self-centered attitude. Although you have no more you have cut off from samsara, you are cut off from the pains of samsara, but still you have this self-centered attitude. And self-centered attitude, there are two kinds: the gross and the subtle. Of course, they don't have the gross one, but they still have the subtle one, right? Okay, and somebody must make the note there, the difference between the subtle and the gross what? Self-centered attitude. And you must not miss to ask me later on, right? I'm not going to make this distinction now, otherwise we cannot complete the course at all. Okay, so the arhats, when you exterminate the self-grasping ignorance, then self-centered attitude is still there. So this self-centered attitude, the subtle one, this obstructs you from attaining the full Buddhahood. You getting it? Okay. So the point is that one should be convinced, as long as I have this self-grasping ignorance, I have this self-centered attitude. For this, you have to identify what is self-grasping ignorance, what is self-centered attitude. Once you identify these two things, and then you see that yes, it is within me. It is within me. The moment you are about to shout at your mother, right? The moment you are about to shout at your mother, or say something nasty towards your parents, towards your siblings, or towards your friend, towards husband, wife, children. The moment you're about to say this, you must be able to identify the look, again the self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude are manifested within me. We must be able to identify that. So once you identify that, and then of course for this, we need to understand a little bit of what is emptiness, what's the reality. And then self-grasping ignorance is projecting something which is distorting the reality, which distorts the reality. Look, my distortion of the reality then makes my mind to become very aggressive. Or say the crave after things, or become aggressive, pushing things away from you. So you could feel that. that is the best of the practice. You are the real Dharma practitioner. If you don't identify these things happening within you, oh, I should be a good Dharma practitioner, then I should not be saying bad things. Yes, these are very good. Staying away from bad things because the Buddha said it. Staying away from the 10 non-vicious actions because the Buddha said it. That's very good. But you are not convinced deep inside. If you are not convinced, then there's what is known as don't seek the person, seek the dharma. Don't seek the person, seek the dharma. Within the dharma, don't seek the interpretable dharma, seek the ultimate dharma. Within the ultimate dharma, don't seek the conceptualized ultimate, but the pure ultimate. Pristine ultimate. So don't seek the person, seek the dharma. Don't seek the interpretable dharma, seek the definitive dharma. Within the definitive dharma, don't seek conceptualized, seek the non-conceptualized pristine dharma, pristine reality. Okay, what does it mean by that? It means that, of course, initially we need to depend on external teachers. But I like to make it very clear, here that for the time, no rush to look for what? Root gurus. You're getting it? No rush to look for root gurus. His Holiness the Dalai makes very clear that learn from any teacher. See them as your university professors, right? The university professors, how many university professors here? 1, 2, okay, we have 2 ladies here. No men, right? Okay, so which means that gender inequality is here. Females are better, right? Okay. Okay. Initially, you can seek the help. For example, coming here, just like to acquire knowledge, to learn something. That's it. No guru. You're getting it? No guru. And later on, when your knowledge really grows well, particularly I would say bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness. Particularly when experience of wisdom of emptiness, I would say intellectual understanding becomes very clear with the understanding the nuances, ability to see the nuances. And the bodhicitta, you have some degree of experience. And you see how difficult it is to reach to that level of bodhicitta, that level of compassion. When you come to get some understanding, then when you meet the teachers, you can see that, of course, our judgment can be very wrong, but still, to some extent, you can see that, okay, this teacher is a practitioner of bodhicitta. This teacher is a practitioner of wisdom of emptiness. But it's very rare. People who are actually practicing these are so rare. They talk about a high level, what is that? The 2 stages of Tantra and Dzogchen, Mahamudra, 2 stages of Tantra from Gelug tradition, Sakya and Gelug tradition, Mahamudra from Kagyu tradition, Dzogchen from the Nyingma tradition. They talk about high-level teachings. People actually meditate on bodhicitta wisdom. It's so rare. So rare. So this is very unfortunate. Whereas in my life, I've been actually meeting with, till I completed my Geshe degree, I was always with the monastic members, people who went to Dharma all the time. And from there, I can see that less number of people are actually there who are really high-level practitioners. I could see so less. And some people who are acclaimed as high-level practitioners, when you actually meet them, interact with them, you see that they are not really as acclaimed. So some people, just make them as so like the enlightened. Meeting them is very different. Whereas some people who are who keep very low profile, you meet them, wow, this is the real, if there's an enlightened person, this is a person. You can meet some very rare. Okay. So with this, and these things are all dependent originated. So for us, look at, just from the interaction in the world, you can see that, who is more evolved and who is less evolved. We can easily see that. And in other words, somebody under any situations, somebody can maintain the calmness and the happiness. And that is an evolved person. And with a small change of situation, instantly you feel disturbed. That is unevolved. Okay, so don't use this as a measure to check somebody else. Use this as a measure to check yourself, right? Otherwise, there's sometimes, we become so good at checking somebody else, right? Use it to check yourself. So that they say at a certain point, only if you study emptiness. And studying emptiness is not, you have to be dedicated. Don't think that it is like, I can go for a crash course, right? Crash course in Tushita. No. I always mix up with the Tushita Root Institute. So at the Root Institute, crash course, Root Institute one week, then I'll get emptiness, I'll get what? Renunciation, bodhicitta, shamatha, meditation, I'll get all this, and then I'll go into the Himalayas, 2 months bodhicitta, 3 months wisdom emptiness. He said wisdom emptiness will take time, 3 months. And the shamatha will take, let's say, some people say 6 months, some people say 3 months. Okay, let's say 4 months. And then, gate, paragate, in 2 years, bodhisattva, right? If this is your expectation, then you will terminate your purpose of your life. And this is the purpose of life, and you will terminate, you stop it. And so therefore, however long it takes, this is my journey. This should be our commitment. However long it may take. For example, so there are 2 choices. Either go in this direction, or go the other way around. And the other way is like what Putin is doing, what he's doing, what are all they say, what the people on the street, all these people who have no idea who have never heard what bodhicitta is, just struggling for food, struggling to live, right, earn some living. That's it. One day, as one young Tibetan gentleman, he started coming to Tibet house for Tibetan classes. And then he said, Geshe, can I meet you in person, personally? Yes, we met. And he said that, I asked him, how did you come to have interest in Buddhist philosophy? Then he said that, this is why I came here. He said that, I'm working in a company here in Delhi, Indian company in Delhi, and then he had been working for the last 2 years. And suddenly he discovered one thing, that there's no difference between me and a dog. There's no difference between me and a dog, because the early morning means not early morning, right? Like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, he gets up, oh, I'm late for my work, right? So you don't even get breakfast, then you hurry for your work. And the dog also gets up, right? And dog not stay there. He also walk, he's also busy. He also run, go somewhere. Go somewhere what? To search for food. And you go for what? To work. What is a nice way of saying go look for food? Right? My company work. It's a nice way of saying looking for food. And the dog, more honest, look for food. This is it. And then after the work, you are tired, the dog is also tired. Dog also comes back. And for the dog is very simple. He sleeps. And you are very tired, you come back, and meant to get more rest, you watch television. You have the extra television to watch, the dog doesn't have. Right? And you have now the WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, right? And look for likes. This is the extra thing that you have. And that is actually not a good thing. The dog gets time to rest, and you don't get time to rest. These consume your time, energy. For example, in the recent one of the retreats, one of a young boy, Of course, he's older than Dalai, and he was just crazy after the mobile. And one day I said that you came here for retreat, you have to keep the mobile with me. And I asked you to, he kept the mobile with me. And the next day, after teaching, he came to me and said that, Geshe, today that I understood the class, what is taught in the class. I said, then, did you know the reason why you understood the class today? Because you got good rest last night. You got good rest. You're not after the Instagram and these things. So therefore you got good rest. Your mind is well rested. So today, because of this, your mind has the energy to understand what is being taught. So this dog got good rest. Only thing is he will not have class tomorrow. Again he has to go for food. And you also go for a walk, that is, go for food. And he said that there's no difference between me and a dog. So why I'm so special as a human being? After all, I'm looking for my food, that's it. Besides looking for food, there's nothing extra that I'm doing. Then he thought that I must prove that I'm a human being. I have to do something which this dog cannot do. What is that? Oh, to look for something inside, which the ordinary people, they do not do. To look for inward and look for something which is beyond this life. So this brought me here to Tibet house. This is what he said. This is very true. Okay. So, having said this, the point is that to make a difference in your life, that not to force yourself into what is known as spiritual path, but to bring about cognitive transformation in your mind, bringing about cognitive transformation in your mind, which should bring about transformation in your feelings, and this transformation to feeling from unpleasant to the pleasant, should bring about transformation in your intention, the mental factor of intention. Intention, which makes you to behave nicely. When the intention is not, the matured, then it can behave so roughly and accumulate negative karmas. So mental factor of intention, this is karma. And of course we'll study more, don't worry about this, it's like a sudden jump in some technical aspects. But the point is that this is how we bring about transformation. Only by bringing about, only through resorting to the change in your cognitive, the thinking. Through this, then think about changing your, the basic behaviors. So this will allow us to move from Gade to the second Gade, Para Gade, Para Samgade, Bodhiswaha. So this transformation is actually ways and means by which to remove our bad habits, meaning the negative karmas. Remove our negative karmas, and then to remove the afflictions, and eventually to remove the self-grasping ignorance. This will give you the sense of what is known as total fearlessness. And with this compassion, the universal compassion, altruism, the bodhicitta, this will then expand your heart, and will expand your happiness. This is what happens. And combined with the wisdom of emptiness and this other cherished mind, altruistic bodhicitta, you combine the two, then we see that all the stains, smell of the garlic like stains. You remember the example that I gave you, the solid garlic, the stain in the form of solid garlic, and the smell of the garlic like stains, metal stains. Even the subtlest of the metal stain will be removed. Once that is removed by the combination of these two things, the wisdom and the bodhicitta combined together, actually what cuts these metal stains is the wisdom of emptiness. But this bodhicitta must be there to make sure that this wisdom actually does the job of eliminating the subtlest of the mental stains. And whose responsibility is that? To remind me. One. I think there were 4 or 5. Then now even you forgot your question. There's only one person who remembers it. So the question was, okay, so I put it slightly differently here. The question which I asked yesterday, which I asked you to remind me, and today how I put the question today is slightly different. Actually, it's the same, right? In different form. Okay. Audrey, what's the question? Exactly. So, how does this, by the wisdom of emptiness, complemented by bodhicitta, will get rid of this subtle stain. What is subtle stain? What do you call that? Hey, what do you call that? What's the technical term for this? Cognitive obscurations, right? So, it removes the cognitive obscurations. Then the question which I asked yesterday was that, how does this cognitive obscuration actually stops you from attaining Buddhahood? How does this cognitive obscuration, how does it stop you from, say, knowing all phenomena, becoming omniscient? How does it stop you from knowing all phenomena? So this question, and this is what we have to learn. So in other words, what I'm trying to share with you here is that if you have a vast and profound learning, you don't have to force yourself to bring about transformation in your mind. You're getting it? If you have a vast learning, for example, let's say that the moment you get out of this campus, let's say cross the door, then outside there are so many COVID positives. If you have this information, would you go there or would you not go there? You would not go there because of the information. You're getting it? Because of the cognitive understanding, cognitively knowing that if the moment you cross that gate, then there are so many COVIDs, you will contract COVID. And you don't want that. You're getting it? So with the cognitive, the knowledge, cognitive transformation, then all your spiritual practice should happen. So now what is important is that but sometimes the people have the good knowledge, but they are very unruly. How come that they are not transformed? It's because that they could not connect the knowledge. That knowledge is not, that knowledge is just a scriptural knowledge. You're getting it? Knowledge, there are three kinds. Knowledge, there are three kinds. One is known as the, like knowledge or the wisdom. Wisdom derived through learning, number one. Number two, wisdom derived through reflection. Number three, wisdom derived through meditation. Let me repeat it. Wisdom derived through learning. In Tibetan, Tujung Sherab. Wisdom derived through reflection. Samjung Sherab. Sam Gomsum. Samjung Sherab. Wisdom derived through meditation. Gomjung Sherab. These are three wisdoms. Okay, we have to know these three wisdoms. Then you will realize that how important is it. It is for us to have this knowledge and to make sure that you get the conviction. You're getting it? So with the conviction, then it will automatically bring about transformation in your mind. You go into the meditation. Okay. What does it mean by wisdom derived through learning or studies? Anyone? Quick. What does it mean by wisdom derived through learning? Yes?
Knowledge you gain from learning.
Knowledge you gain from learning. Okay. Knowledge you gain from learning. My next question. How would you say, what is the demarcating line between the wisdom derived through learning and wisdom derived through next wisdom? What's the next wisdom? Wisdom derived through reflection. So, how would you distinguish between the two? Anyone?
So, learning would be, say, understanding the scriptures or interpretations of it. Reflection would be how does it apply in my day-to-day life and can I start seeing that?
So, anybody, right? Say some people who are more what is that? Who are more pious, I would say. Who are more pious, they would readily apply, right? So without knowing much, still they apply. And some people, they are not so pious, they would not apply, even they don't know, right? Okay, anyone? Anyone? I'm looking for. Okay. Anyone? Gabor is expert, and our Chandrasekhar is expert. here?
I would say learning is you have to have a medium, a teacher, a book, a scripture, something that you're actually getting the most amount of knowledge from or input. Reflection, it happens more between one and oneself. It's more subjective in a way, or subjectivity plays a big part.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, those who are not from the NMC, you have to raise hands, otherwise the NMC people, they're waiting for you. They know that Geshe will not see the NMC people, right? Okay.
Reflection would be thinking back on what you learned.
Oh, my question, what's the difference between the two, the first and second?
Learning would be when you read it first and when you study and stuff, and reflection would be looking back on it.
Reflection would be?
Looking back on what you learned.
Looking back. So what's the difference?
Difference would be learning was first time looking at it.
So second time is not learning. It's learning or not learning? Learning. So that's reflection, not reflection. That's not reflection. So when is it reflection?
Reflection would be looking back on it.
What do you mean by looking back?
Looking back, thinking about it.
Thinking about it.
Thinking.
Okay. Okay, now Gabor. Okay, yes, Chelsea.
The learning stage, it's a lot of input. So there's information coming from the outside moving in. And then in the reflection state, it's more integration. So maybe you start to have more questions and it's becoming more a part of what's relevant to your own life.
Okay. Okay, Gabor. When I say Gabor means NMC, you have moved to the NMC, right? What NMC, I'm expecting good answers. No good answers, penalty. Yes, Gabor.
Now there's question. So I would say learning is getting the information, and then through reflection is gaining conviction whether that information carries with the learning.
Very good, I'm happy. Okay, these are not just, say like vague concepts. These are technically very precise. There's a clear-cut division between what is the learning, what is the reflection, what is reflection, what is meditation. Not just learning, reflection, meditation, but wisdom derived through learning, wisdom derived through reflection, and wisdom derived through meditation. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say that today, if you ask me what is the famous equation of Albert Einstein, I'll say E equals mc square, right? Okay, so I said it correctly. I said it correctly without referring to any book. But this is just an imitation of what I learned from somebody else. It's a borrowed knowledge. The wisdom derived through learning is a borrowed knowledge. It's a borrowed knowledge, you just mimic somebody else. And you are not convinced. There's no conviction within you. You just mimic somebody, you learn, you get information, and you're not sure in what way they are accurate. It's just the borrowed knowledge. I say, what is emptiness? Emptiness is the emptiness of objective existence. Again, I say these are all the borrowed knowledge. You borrow from somebody else. And then what is the wisdom derived through reflection? The moment you get the wisdom derived through reflection, it becomes your knowledge. It's not a borrowed knowledge anymore. You're getting it? Let me give an example. When I was age 6, I think age 6, 5 or 6, I'm not too sure. My teacher, my mathematics teacher, she was very strict. But is there anybody, you don't report to my mathematics teacher, she's still alive. Don't report this to her, right? She's very strict. And then we just as like 6 years old, 5 years old. And then we have no parents, hey, Dorji, what's your homework? Tell me, what's your homework? You cannot go to play until you finish your homework. Nobody is there, right? Just a bunch of small children. Like I think at that time, even Ajikipal was not there. She came much later. When I was 6, must be she was not yet born, right? We were from the same foster home. Then then she said, all the boys, girls, tomorrow you have to recite the multiplication table of 3 by heart. Recite by heart the multiplication table of 3. And the moment we left the classroom, finished, we forgot. Nobody's there to check where's your homework, or we have to remember the multiplication 3 by heart, or then recite it. No, nobody's there to check, And my father just struggling with his life. And my mother passed away when I was 5. Who was there? And my sister herself was very young, struggling with her own, school. And then the next day, the teacher said that, okay, now I expect all of you have to have the multiplication table by heart. Then she would make, the boys, girls to stand up, and then said, Dorji, stand up. So I got up. Nothing, you can't expect anything from me. And she would say, hey, Dorji, recite the table. I have nothing. So she would say, Dorji, 3 into 1, that's the easiest. 3 ones are 3. Good. 3 twos are no clue. Right? So what I do, my fingers are busy. My fingers will go behind. Right? So what is happening there? 3. But I must be, say, I have some, inkling for mathematics since my childhood. When I was in class 3, 4, I was average, but maths I was doing good. And instead my fingers were busy. 3 ones are 3, 3 twos are 4, 5, 6. 6, good. 3 threes are 7, 8, 9. 9, good. Sit down. Okay. So did I give the correct answer? Yes. But did I know how 3 into 3 equals 9? Did I know that? I did not know. I have no clue how 3 into 3 comes as 9. I have no clue. It's just mimicking of what I learned from my teacher. That's it. This is not the wisdom derived through learning. I did not have any conviction how this 9 came into being. 3 into 3, how that is 9. I have no clue. Today, if you ask me, now is it the same Dorji or a different Dorji? Of course, different Dorji. 3 into 3, 9. How? Are you convinced? I'm convinced. How? Okay, 1, 2, 3. There are 3 people there, and I'm expected to give 3 cookies each. 3 cookies, then I need 9 cookies. Right? 3 cookies for each. 3, 3, 3, 3, 6, 9. I need 9 cookies. This meaning of 3 people into 3 cookies is 9 cookies. Now I know that. So this conviction, the moment the conviction comes to you, that is known as a wisdom derived through reflection. It comes to you not through somebody else just telling you or you mimicking. You reflect on this, and finally the conviction comes. The first time the conviction comes to you, whatever you have learned, for example, like we talked about emptiness of all phenomena, that everything is the nature of your own mind, that nothing really exists from the object. Objectively, things are all empty. So after learning all these, then eventually you get a very clear understanding that from the object there's nothing really there. That's 100% sure. When you gain this conviction, at that point, your wisdom of emptiness has upgraded from the level of the learning to the level of reflection. When you gain the first conviction that you gained, this is the wisdom derived through reflection. Okay. And so with all these things, learning all these things about the 3 kinds of wisdom, the 3 kinds of wisdom. And one time I was in Assam. Okay, Assam. Bhaskarji's son. What's his name? Bhaskarji's son. Itai. And this little boy, he was just about I think 6 years old. He was just 6 years old. And he said that he just picked up I brought some almonds, and he said that I like almonds so much. So I gave him. And he picked one almond and said, he was just 6 years old. And he said that, Geshe-la, this almond, inside is white. Inside is white. This is what he told me. And I pretended as though I don't know. Are you sure it's what inside? He said, yes. And then, no, I don't believe it to be white inside. Then he bit it and then showed that to me, look, this is white inside. I said, wow, that's amazing. How did you know without looking at it? Who taught you that? He said, nobody taught me, I know this. You're getting it? He's saying that this is my knowledge, it's not a borrowed knowledge. Nobody taught me, I know this. I know this, I know it myself, right? So this is what he's saying, that this is his wisdom drawn through reflection. Is not the wisdom drawn through learning. You're getting it? His own reflection, his own, say, conviction. Now, when you reach to the second level of the wisdom, it has become, your knowledge has become upgraded from the borrowed knowledge to your own knowledge. It has become your own knowledge. What is the third wisdom? Wisdom drawn through meditation. Okay. Now tell me, after cultivating all this wisdom, what's the purpose? Right? Wisdom of emptiness, to see that nothing exists objectively, everything is like a dream, coming all from your subject. What's the purpose? Tell me, anyone. Just raise hands. Raise hands. Okay, Tabdin Sangla.
So the ultimate end would be total fearlessness.
To create the total fearlessness and the infinite happiness. How? By removing the mental defilements. You're getting it? By removing the mental defilements. What kind of mental defilements? What kind of mental defilements are there? What kind of mental defilements are there? Self-grasping, ignorance, and then self-centered. What else? What else? Anyone? Yes, Nicola. Afflicted. The technical things, I don't learn all these things. Just tell me something which I can easily understand. Attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. You're getting it? Okay. So let's say, these emotions. So finally we're learning all these things. The wisdom of emptiness, that nothing exists objectively. Nothing exists, yet nothing exists objectively. Everything is subjective. We're learning all these things in order to finally to use them as tool to combat our negative emotions, such as anger, attachment, jealousy, and so forth. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Okay. Just imagine that they say that, oh, there's a person who comes to, say, the bully, rude and shoot. Usually, sometimes they come, right? Okay, all of us are new. Nicola knows, and the Chanjula also knows about this. Earlier, we used to have policemen here at the gate. You know the reason? At one point, there were some gangsters coming to rob. So, and then let's say that somebody owns up, who is just like, let's say, 40 kg, right? Which means not physically strong, right? Strong. Okay, let's say we have this one person who's fearless. Who, you know who that is? There's one person who's fearless. You don't know. We discovered it yesterday. No problem, whatever. I never experienced what is problem. You know that? Huh? You don't know. Gentleman Parag, right? So Parag owned up. Let's say that there is the person who is going to now create problem to root and shoot from the gate. Parag says, don't worry, you all scared. You all know what is problem. I don't know what is problem. You all stay behind. I'll be there. He goes there, and you know what that person looks like. That person is like 150 kg, well-built person who expert in fighting. And look, Parag, right? Our captain. Look at Parag, right? in the face of this giant. He's a very tiny boy, right? He slaps and finish. You're getting it? Our captain finished. Just with one step, finished. You're getting it? Okay, now look at. So what is all this wisdom? Wisdom of emptiness and so forth. For what? As a parag to fight? The wisdom that we are learning, just like the parag we are sending to fight the enemy, afflictions, anger, attachment, so forth, right? And some say if you are to really resort to remedy to fight a particular emotional state, the remedy should be equal strength or should be weaker? Stronger if possible, stronger, if not at least equal, right? It should for sure not be weaker. But what is our wisdom of emptiness, right? What is the wisdom of emptiness? First you have to have the breakfast. Ding, 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 the breakfast. The wisdom of emptiness is still not there. Then the breakfast. Then after that, again the next bell to go to the Bodhi temple, right? People are doing, still the wisdom of emptiness is not there, right? People are not coming. So we have to wait. And what is the negative emotions? How effective they are, right? Somebody says, okay, Yugandhar is a very stable person, right? Saying, Yugandhar, you came all the way from Arunachal, Tawang to Bihar. What for you, like 36, 37 hours? You're but a stupid boy. You're wasting your time. Why not you are earning money there, right? Stupid boy. So if somebody tells this to you in public, right? What a stupid thing that you're doing. Then would you say that, oh, Chanchula, should I become angry? Chanchula says, of course, it's such an insult to you in public. Of course, he will not say this, but I say that he said it, of course, he insulted in public. Okay, let me meditate on anger. Is this how your anger arises? What a stupid boy, what a stupid girl you are. Then what is how does your anger react? Slowly or just explode. It explodes. You're getting it? It explodes. So this is how our negative emotions are so effective. So effective. So let's not forget it. Our negative emotions are extremely spontaneous, number one. Number two, intense. Number three, high quality. You're getting it? Our negative emotions are very spontaneous, intense, and of high quality. And our wisdom of emptiness is not spontaneous, very slow. And then intense, no intensity there. It's like a sick person. And then quality, no quality there. Right, is mixed with self-grasping, ignorance, anger, jealousy, everything mixed. So this is our remedy. And this remedy is to fight with the very effective, high-quality, intense, spontaneous afflictions. You're getting it? So, what should we be doing? What should we do now? The remedy that we have is not at all competent enough to fight our negative emotions, to remove the mental defilements. Without doing this, Gade, however many million times you recite this Gade, your mind will not go Gade. It will always remain non-Gade. Right? What should we do now? Tell me. Huh?
Study, like meditation.
Okay, study. Okay, first take your time. Don't go in haste. Some people they go in haste. Oh no, our negative emotions, they are so destructive, so intense, so spontaneous, high quality. We must fight with them. We have no time for study. We have no time for learning. We have to go for practice directly, right? So they don't have the ingredients and they start cooking food. They have no ingredients, they start cooking food, right? We have to cook food, otherwise we are hungry. No ingredients. You're getting it? Okay, so even though you are hungry, there's no choice. First prepare ingredients. Once the ingredients are prepared, then look at the recipe. You're getting it? Recipe. Once with the recipe, then try to cook it. You're getting it? There are three phases. Likewise, you take your time, no hurry. non-dual wisdom of emptiness, non-duality, the generation stage, completion stage of Tantra, 2 stages of Tantra, Dzogchen, Mahamudra. Forget about these things. First, prepare the ingredients. You're getting study well. Study. Next is, with the study, you get enough information, good information. Once you get good information, then subject them to analysis. Number 2, subject them to analysis. You're getting it? With the analysis, then you get the analysis or reflection, you get the conviction. Yes, what I'm seeing is not real. What I'm seeing is not there from the object. This is all projection from my own mind. But with my negative emotions, when the negative emotions arise, things are seen as so objectively real. So this is how the self-grasping ignorance is torturing me, is bullying me. You're getting it? This is how the self-grasping ignorance, viewing things objectively real, is bullying me. This is the word. Bullying me, torturing me, imprisoning me. Okay. So what should I do? That at least I've recognized that self-grasping ignorance is playing on me to torture me and to bully me. Okay, at least I see that the things don't exist the way the self-grasping ignorance distorts. Things don't exist like this. Things exist very different. They all exist subjectively, totally empty from the object. Right? You realize this. This is your the conviction, your own conviction. It becomes your knowledge. Once it becomes your knowledge, then what should we do? Okay, for example, let's say that okay, how many of you know how to run? Raise hands. Okay, how many of you run as fast as Usain Bolt? Usain Bolt? Not so fast, right? Half of him? Not half. Then the 1/3? 1/10? 1/10, yes. Can you improve? How can we improve? Anyone? Practice. What do you mean by practice? Keep running. So likewise, say, whatever conviction that you've gained, keep running with this conviction. Keep running, keep practicing it. So repeating the same practice over and over again is known as meditation. Repeating the same practice over and over again is known as meditation. So meditation is meant to make your, say, the conviction speedy, to make it speedy, to make it spontaneous, to make it rigorous, to make it intense, and to make it qualitative. To make it high quality, intense. So this is the purpose of the meditation. With this, then what happens? Gradually, this experience becomes very spontaneous. Okay, let's say, for example, the wisdom of emptiness. Since that we have never experienced emptiness since time immemorial till now. Because of this, even if you get a glimpse of it through your effort, concerted effort, in the study, reflection, meditation, study, reflection, over time, you get a glimpse of this. It's like a fleeting experience. It just comes within a split of a second, it disappears. You're getting it? It comes and disappears instantly. It does not sustain. You cannot sustain that experience. So, once you get it, then how to sustain it? It is just through continuously practicing it, continuous practice. Then the duration, initially can be like a split of a second. You keep doing it, and then it will become like, say 1/13, let's say the 13th of the 13 milliseconds, and then it will become like 100 milliseconds, 900 milliseconds, then let's say the 1 second lasting, then like 10 second lasting. So this, only through practice you can give a quality to this. You can also prolong the period, the duration of that experience. So this is how we have to practice. So this happens only through whatever conviction that you gained, you repeat it repeating the conviction that you gained, that is known as a meditation. So with this, then you will build up the speed. You will build up the rigor. And then, because with the speed, it becomes spontaneous. You're getting it? So this very spontaneous and the rigorous and high quality experience of emptiness, that can fight with your self-grasping ignorance. And that can find your anger, attachment, and jealousy, greed. All these, say, when you feel a little bit of sad or a little bit of anger or agitated, or say some form of the attachment, felt. For example, the loss of your near and dear ones, then you miss means as an attachment. You miss somebody, who you are so connected, so close to. The person passes away. You miss that person, which means it's an attachment. So in the grip of this attachment, anger, jealousy, so forth, just give yourself a little time and go to your room and do a little bit of breathing exercise. Just focus on the breath. With the breath, the gross agitation will subside. With the breathing meditation, the gross agitation will subside. Once that subsides, as I think Chelsea asked this question, when you're in the grip of the anger, or grip of the afflictions, then you cannot control it. So one thing is, just go to your room, close the door, and then sit comfortably. Just take like 7 deep breaths. As you take deep breaths, your mind will automatically be drawn towards the breath. Then it will deviate it'll make you deviate away from the busy thoughts of the anger, attachment, and so forth, and it'll be drawn towards your breath. So this agitation will subside. The gross agitation will subside. You could feel it instantly. Instantly you can feel, even the heart palpitation will stop. It becomes normal. So when things become normal, then you will think about emptiness. And with emptiness you will see the contrast, how the object appears in the grip of the anger or attachment, versus in experience of emptiness, there's a contrast in the perception of the object. Earlier, you see the memory of this attachment, memory of this anger, you see the object as so objectively real, so solidly there from the object, so objectified, so solidified there. And with experience of emptiness, you see that it's just like an illusion, it's not really there, it's just projection by your own mind. Besides this, there's nothing really there from the object. You will see the contrast. The moment you see this contrast, instantly the agitation, the mental disturbance because of the anger or attachment or whatever, it instantly subsides. And depending on how profound your experience of emptiness is, depending on that, then the degree of the agitation, the degree of the agitation comes to you accordingly. The variation, the degrees come to you. And so where it is very profound, the tranquility or the serenity of your mind will be experienced. And in some cases, the great masters, they say that the degree of the tranquility that you feel when you experience of the emptiness is so profound, deep, that you will feel that this is something which I never experienced before, this tranquility. That degree of the tranquility is something which I never experienced before. Physiologically, say the agitation, which you never noticed that there were actually agitation, the vibration, the disturbance, which you never noticed before. Now you notice that actually my mind, the physiology, even the physiology is always in this disturbance with this corresponding mental state. So you see that these disturbances, they subside, and you can see unusually profound the tranquility. Okay, so this is all about how the wisdom of emptiness, it combats our negative emotions. Good. So these are more the application side, while knowing the technicalities. For this, without knowing what emptiness is, this all just, and then not knowing the 3 kinds of the wisdom, without knowing the 3 kinds of the divisions and the boundaries among these 3 the wisdoms, and then without knowing what the wisdom of emptiness is, there's no way by which this experience can be explained. Okay, so therefore we have to make sure that we learn what emptiness is so thoroughly. So whatever is the situation in the world, finally you must gain a conviction that the purpose of my life is the wisdom of emptiness, because that no matter what situation, they say, I simply want to get away from my miseries. To get away from the miseries, this is the answer, the wisdom of emptiness. And to feel the expansive joy, only answer lies in expanding the heart of your compassion. These are the only two things. And alongside, we need to go for the stability meditation to stabilize those two meditations. And finally, the mark of the success of your practice is that when you depend more on external factors, external gurus, external, let's say, the monasteries, external peaceful place, and so the more you rely on externality, external factors, less evolved you are. Less dependent you are on the external things. You can still control your emotions, right? Say you can manage your emotions so well. More evolved you are. So this is how we can judge ourselves the degree of your progress in your spiritual path. Yeah, a spiritual path doesn't mean that, oh, I'm in spirituality, he's mundane. No, it's not like this. It's about your own. Is what you are seeking. It's for your own benefit. That finally, whether you are spiritual or materialistic, say both are seeking fearlessness and infinite happiness. It's the same. But one who is very materialistic, the person goes the wrong approach. The person thinks that by going this direction, you get closer towards the fearlessness and infinite happiness. Whereas those people who, what we call spiritual, people who are more spiritual, who are looking for the wisdom, particularly spiritual meaning, who look for the wisdom of emptiness. Spirituality, there are so many kinds, right? So he said the wisdom of emptiness is wrong. Things are objectively real. There are some spiritual traditions which encourage you to look at things as objectively real. There are some spiritual traditions. So to get to the right spiritual tradition, so that is so precious. So that makes you, so no matter what external factors, it will take you more and more away from your miseries and will make you closer and closer towards the more expansive happiness. Okay, so with this what we said is that they all composite things are impermanent, and to reach to this level of the realizations, we must go for the three. We must not miss the three kinds of wisdom. We must remember the three wisdoms. Wisdom derived through learning, wisdom derived through reflection, wisdom derived through meditation. For this, the learning is so important. Learning the correct information, which were actually taught by the Buddha himself. For example, what we are doing, the Four Seals. Say in the Tibetan tradition, there are various practices of the teachings meant for the small scope person, teachings meant for the great scope person, and all these systematic presentations of these practices are there. But usually I prefer to go to the Buddha's teachings directly, the Four Seals directly, and that suffices all what the other Tibetan masters taught. That suffices that. So with this, the first one which we learned was that all composite things are impermanent. And impermanence is of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross one is the impermanent, impermanent phenomena, the continuum of which comes to an end. What is gross impermanence? Gross impermanence is the impermanent phenomena, the continuum of which comes to an end. For example, like 2020, 2021, 2022, right? 2021 already came to an end, and your youth, what you were 10 years before and what you are today, there's a difference there, right? Okay, and so that is the gross impermanence. And what is subtle impermanence? Subtle impermanence is the quality of momentariness. the quality of the momentariness, quality of transitoriness, quality of the momentariness or the quality of the transitoriness. The gross impermanence may not apply to all impermanent phenomena. In other words, not that all phenomena, all impermanent phenomena fall under the category of the gross impermanence. Not necessary. Because they are impermanent phenomena whose continuum never stops. They are impermanent phenomena whose continuum never stops. For example, like the self, the person. The person continues endlessly. It never stops. Like your mind never stops. Time never stops. Although in physics, there's a description of the time, say, the coming to existence from the Big Bang. And when the big crunch happens, Big Bang at the moment is the phase of Big Bang. With the Big Bang, the universe is expanding. At one point, then the universe will stop expanding. Stop expanding, and then it will have because of gravity, it will be pulled back. Big crunch happens. Big crunch. Again, it will go into the singularity. Singularity. Again, Big Bang. So this is what some of the physicists believe. So people say that the time originates from the Big Bang singularity and will end up with this singularity at the point of the Big Crunch. But so these are all the hypothesis of the physics. Hypothesis of physics, and what exactly is the case, this is to explore. But the time per se, this is a phenomena of the impermanent phenomena, and the time, it continues endlessly. Okay, this is one thing. So there are many impermanent phenomena which whose continuum never stops, which means that not all impermanent phenomena should fall under the category of the gross impermanence. Okay, but all impermanent phenomena should necessarily have the quality of the subtle impermanence. All impermanent, don't say that all impermanent phenomena are subtle impermanence. Say that I have hands, I am not hands. Make this distinction. You're getting it? I have hands, I am not hands. Likewise, all impermanent phenomena have the quality of the subtle impermanence. All impermanent phenomena has the quality of subtle impermanence. But don't say that all impermanent phenomena are the subtle impermanence. Okay. All impermanent phenomena should necessarily have the quality of the subtle impermanence, which means that all impermanent phenomena necessarily should go through transitoriness, momentariness. For example, the physical matters, even from the point of view of physics, it's very easy for us to be convinced of this, that the physical matters, the world which is made of which is the physical nature, made of atoms. Atoms are in constant flux of change. They never stay steady. Okay, so this says the subtle impermanence. So likewise our mind, and mind is no exception. Although mind is not made of the material or the tangible atoms, but the mind is made of temporal segments, and the mind always undergoes through momentariness. Always. In other words, all impermanent phenomena should necessarily have the quality of the subtle impermanence. Okay. And okay. So let's say that, which means that even my body is undergoing the subtle impermanence. Yes. All the composite phenomena, they undergo the momentariness. They have this quality of the momentariness. And it is good for us. It's good for us. Once in a while, let's say that when you have, some people can take out actually like 10 days off, when you have like 1 month off, you can sit for retreat on meditating, to meditate on the subtle impermanence. The subtle impermanence. And when I was 21, I stayed for a retreat for 2 months. Primarily these two things, all composite things are impermanent, and all contaminated things are suffering nature. These two things. And particularly the second one, all contaminated things are suffering nature. This is a very gross form which I was meditating on. So now what there's of these many years of my studies, and then I'm sharing with you the subtle understanding of what is meant by all contaminated things are suffering nature. It's not just the gross suffering, like the suffering the hell beings go through, animals go through, human beings go through, like what is happening in Ukraine, what is happening in the border area. There's so much of border tension happening there, domestic violence, COVID-19, and so forth. And with excessive cold, excessive heat, hunger, thirst, and so forth. These are in a way, of course, we need to reflect on these points, and how the animals, in the KFC and in the hotels, 5-star hotels, how all these poor animals are being, killed for your food. Reflect on these. This is very important to know the suffering, the gross sufferings. But there's a subtle suffering which we need to, particularly having taken the precious human birth. Even the animals know what is killing. Even the animals know. They want to run away from this. But they don't know the suffering change and the pervasive condition suffering. So what is suffering change? What is a pervasive condition suffering? And when I was just 21 years old, beyond the monastery, and then I asked my teacher if I can sit for a retreat. And they said, yes, you can sit for a retreat. You meditate on impermanence. And I asked, what should I meditate on? He said, just think about the impermanence. And then I added these two, impermanence and the suffering nature of the samsara. So now you can actually meditate on the same two topics in a very subtle way. But what I'm encouraging you is that if you can take out your time, like 10 days, 1 month, I would suggest you to really plan properly, right? Because that for us to get like 1 month off from your busy schedule as a university professors, or like so you're from your work and so forth, to get huge chunk of time is very difficult. So you have to plan properly. Whereas like long the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or if the Monday is off, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you'll have 4 days. 4 days sit for retreat, just on impermanence and the suffering nature. And then try to do these retreats as many times. And if you don't get like long weekends, how many times a year? Maybe 1 time, 2 times, right? Not so often. Then in this case, even like 2-day retreat is also fine, right? If you're only one day retreat is also fine. Do it. Although don't expect like realization happening, you become a yogi, right? Don't expect that. But of course, that you get some experience meaning at least like how to structure your, say, the day when you're doing the retreat. In fact, for me, sitting for several retreats, and towards the last retreats, then the structure became very good. You know exactly, say when to have your lunch, when to have the short break, and then it becomes like a routine, a proper routine, well-established routine, and there's a flow happening. That's very good. Otherwise, initial meditation retreats, they're like, you struggle, say that you are not finding the routine more established. You don't have it so established that if there's irregularity there in your the timetable of the schedule of your retreat. Okay, so this you can do. And then so with this, all composite things impermanent. Then when you sit for retreat and you're very serious with this, then there's even this meditation where the Buddha said that of all the footprints, the footprint of the elephant is the supreme, and of all the meditations, the meditation on impermanence is the supreme. And why did the Buddha say, why not the meditation emptiness is the supreme? Why not? Of course, it is the supreme, but why the Buddha at one point taught that the meditation impermanence is supreme? Meditation impermanence guarantees you that the rest of the other meditations will flow with it, because it will give you a sense of urgency. Okay, how many of you have the problem of procrastination, laziness? Raise hands. Right? Chelsea, no issue? Okay. So how many of you have, when you were in your school days or college days, you set your timetable, very strict timetable, study, right? Morning, I get up at this time, and then 15 minutes break, and then in 2 days' time, the timetable doesn't work. Raise hands. In 2 days, the timetable doesn't work. Raise hands. Okay. So this is the procrastination or the laziness, right? So the laziness is the one which really steals your time. It steals your youth, right? Laziness. It steals your youth, right? Okay. So to see how to make the most of your time. But let us be very realistic. Your body has its own shortcomings, has its own limitations. Don't overexert. Some people, particularly when I say that laziness is an issue, and then some people, they overexert themselves, right? And people who are actually lazy, they don't mind, having heard this all repeatedly, they don't mind still. And those people who are really good, they think, I'm so lazy, right? What he said is very correct. I'm so lazy. Then they overexert, they become sick. They become ill. So we should be very realistic. You're getting it? And particularly if you say wherever you are from, in most cases there are like the local residential teachers available, and you seek their help. And somebody who is really learned, very experienced, and older than you, if they tell you that, okay, you need to tone down a little bit, you need to slow down a little bit, because you're overexerting, this is not good for you, in long run, this is not good. When somebody highly knowledgeable, experienced, older than you, tells you that, listen, don't think that you're smarter. You're getting it? This is a problem with the modern education. One time in Singapore, one gentleman came to see me, and then he was complaining about he was not really complaining, saying that my teacher is not really skilled, he should do like this, he should do it. And he has extreme affinity to his teacher. And I did not know his teacher too well, but I just heard about him a little bit, and I'm very impressed by his teacher already. His teacher now, he must be in his mid-70s, and he is so well exposed to the outside world, Western world, and also a traditional practitioner, a Tibetan Buddhist monk, and well exposed to the external world. And then this gentleman, he said that, Geshe, how you conduct the retreat, you make people, you remember the names of, now, I don't know, by the age, this remembering the names of each of the participants is less. Otherwise, usually, if there are 70 people, in 2 days, I remember all the names. I put effort. It's not that I have a sharp memory, I have a photographer memory. I put effort to remember the names. And he said, Geshe, how you conduct your retreats, you make sure that they remember the names of each of the participants, and then the chanting is also happening, offering lights, and this all people just feel like at home. And my teacher never does this. And he should modify his style of teaching, and then he must do things in accord with the modern day people. I told him that I don't know your teacher too much, but little that I heard of your teacher, I'm already mesmerized by him. I really appreciate him, and don't think that you are smarter than your teacher. In my eyes, your teacher way, way, way smarter than you, knowledge-wise, and also in terms of exposure. Your teacher well exposed to the whole world. He traveled all over. He lived in America for so many years. And with his practice, with his studies, teaching, he's just an amazing. So it's not that everybody is the same. Some people take approach A, some people take approach B, and what your teacher is doing is just perfect. And don't try to teach the teacher, learn from your teacher. This is what I told him. Okay, so therefore, oftentimes, this is a problem with the modern education. People who are educated in the modern education, they think that they know more than the teachers, right? And then they try to teach the teachers, then what for? You know, why you are saying that he or she is your teacher, right? Okay, so the point is that particularly when you meet with somebody who is learned, number one, who is experienced, number two, number three is very loving and caring, number three. When somebody tells you, okay, this is your direction, this is how you're going, it should be modified like this, you have to tone down, you have to speed up, whatever the teacher says, it's the best to follow that, rather than going on your own ways. Okay, this is the, okay, in other words, sitting for retreats, sometimes people can be very unrealistic, and they can overexert themselves and become sick, not being taken care of their food, not taking care of their sleep, they overexert, and this is, in the long run, is very destructive. So, we need to know, even sitting for a retreat, making sure that you take the good amount of the food, even the food diet, make sure that it is not too less, it is not too much, and it's nutritious, and sleep also, make sure that you get at least like 6 hours sleep. This is very important. And then in the middle, in the daytime, make sure that you take some rest there, and which time of the day should be used more for your meditation, which time of the day should be used more for your studies, which time of the day you use more for your physical practices like prostrations, muddy offerings, and so forth. And it is so unwise to spend whole your day just making prostrations. You have to spend quality time for your studies and meditation. Quality time for your studies and meditation. If you have a good structure of your meditation, if you have learned the Dharma so well, if you have adequate amount of the learning, and then the morning when you really feel fresh, that time must be used for your meditation. And then in the daytime, so where you are your energy is a little exhausted because of meditation, and a little bit of the prayer to prepare you for the meditation. When you feel a little tired, in the daytime you spend more on the readings, the studies. Then after this, then in the evenings you can spend time for your prostrations, mantle offering, and so forth. And in the morning, of course, you can do a little bit of prostrations, like 7 times, 8 times, that's fine. And then mantle offering also, just 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, fine. But just spending hours and hours, mantle offering, hours prostrations. So if you want to do that in the evening, or do that in the afternoon. Not in the morning when you're very fresh. This fresh must be used for meditation. If you don't understand what I'm saying, or if you don't believe what I'm saying, try the opposite, then you will feel the result. Just try the opposite. You do the prostrations, everything in the morning, and then in the afternoon or in the evening you do meditation, you will fall asleep because you're already tired, right? Even the prostrations and so forth, it is to change your mind. It is to change your mind, and the best way by which to change the mind is by bringing a direct change to the mind. That is bringing about a change in your cognitive thinking. But we are beginners. Don't just say that, okay, why not I do directly with mind, bring about change in my cognitive thinking through studies, reflection, no need of prostrations, no need of thing. This is again a wrong approach. Because there's an English expression which says that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. You're getting it? So we should have all these things together. It's not just one side. We all need all the prostrations, mantle offering, then study, meditation, all these things must be there. And then you also see that there are the different phases of life. different phases of life, not just about the age, it's about the exposure of your exposure to the Dharma, your correct exposure to the Dharma. This is the word that I'm using. Correct exposure to the Dharma. Some people, they expose to Dharma for so long, but not correctly. Because of this, they're already exposed to Dharma for like 20 years. Still, if you ask them, what are the three wisdoms? Some of them, they may have said, the wisdom derived through learning, reflection, meditation. What's the difference? They cannot articulate. So, the point is that the learning is not there. And many, simply because we are doing some learning, very systematic learning here, don't think that everybody's doing the same thing. You're getting it? Don't think that. But this is not to undermine other people. This is not to say be contemptuous of other people. Right? Whatever little that they're doing, and of course many people, they don't really get an opportunity to study. They didn't get an opportunity to meet with such opportunities. For example, like Root Institute, it creates this platform. So we are here together because of the institute. And then many of you from NMC, somehow you're connected with NMC because of somehow you heard about you heard His Holiness, always encouraging people, study. So this inspires, where should I study? And then you end up seeing the NMC and this and so forth. So this is how we connected. And many people, they did not even hear. They're so fond of having the audience with His Holiness, but most likely, many of them, they even did not have the clear, say, the picture of what His Holiness always advise us to study, reflect, meditate on bodhicitta, wisdom and emptiness. No, some people, they have no idea of that. So, we are not to undermine other people simply because that you are doing something so good. It doesn't mean that other people are to be undermined or they are inferior, they are wrong direction. No, you just appreciate whatever little things other people are doing, just appreciate. On your side, if you go in the wrong direction, scold yourself, right? Okay, this is, before I want close this, I'd like to share the anecdote of my teacher, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul. So I was 21 or 20 and just a beginner in the monastic university in the training of the debate. And there was one teacher, meaning who was one very senior monk, who was yet to be Geshe, but very, very famous as a debater. And there's some, his style of debating has a tinge of like, what do you call it? Like arrogance. It's not arrogance. It appears like a little egoistic. This is what appearance. And then I, as a totally the beginner, I had no clue, and I just judged the person by the cover of the book, right? Oh, this person is so famous, but he's a little arrogant. And then I went to my teacher, and I saw him debating actually, and nobody can defend his debates, his questions. He's excellent in the debate. And then my teacher was, okay, I keep in mind that I have many teachers, one of which was the Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, and who was a lifelong meditator in the mountains. So when I was there, I just casually reported to him about what is happening in the town, the debates, and particularly there's one senior monk, and he was a very good debater, but I could excellent in the thoughts and the philosophy, but little, the style of his debate was a little egoistic. I said, and my teacher scolded me. Said that, not really scolded, he said that he did not approve what I was saying. He just said the opposite. He said that, but when you're actually debating, when you're actually in the deep analysis, this little bit of, the rough, the expression, this will invigorate it will make your mind more active. So that's good. I said, okay, I was confused. So I joined the monastery, and there you read the books. My teachers, they always advise, be humble, be humble, be humble. So my teacher, even my teacher here, is saying that person, no need to judge this person. Sometimes we need a little bit of this thing. That's good. And then next time, in my debate, I did the same thing. I was a little aggressive. Remember what my teacher said? Sometimes it's good that you give your mind. So I was a little aggressive. And next time I was with the teacher, I said that, during my debate, we had this whole night debate. And then there was a debate competition between my class and the senior class. So at that time I was, a little aggressive. He then literally scolded me, saying that, it's a debate, why should you have to become arrogant? Why? Do you think that you are somebody? It's nothing, you don't know anything. Why you become arrogant? Right? I was confused. When I said somebody is doing that, he said it's okay. And when I did it, he said no. So why are you doing it? It's just so arrogant. What is this? Is this the purpose of your debate? Is the purpose of your dharma? He scolded me. I was so confused. So what do you do now? Then later on I came to realize, don't judge on others. If at all you want to judge somebody, judge yourself. Make sure that you are under control and other people don't judge on others. Okay, so this is the message that he was trying to convey. And this is what I learned from my teacher. Okay, we'll stop here. Tirtha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata